Protect your identity. You are someone who enjoys sewing. So. Don't label yourself as someone who gets easily distracted. That's not helpful for anybody. Reframe distractions so you are armed to start avoiding distraction. We all know what to do. We want to sew. Overall, that process is to, have a design, have a project, get the materials, construct said project. Sure, there may be some little bits and pieces along the way that we don't know about, but that's in the weeds. That information is out there. Overall, you want to sew, and if you want to learn a new skill, you look it up on YouTube. But so why aren't we doing it? Because we need to stop being distracted. And why is this so important? Because regret sucks. The key to avoiding regret is to not being distracted. So you become indistractable. As he calls it, it's a superpower, it's a trait. What's the goal? Do what you say you want to do, aka there is no judging on the actual activity. So if you're scrolling through social media, is something that you've set out to do since it helps you in some way, maybe you're home with your kiddos and you're just wanting to zone out, then it's not a distraction. It's something you set out to do since you get a positive outcome. Same can be said for those things like video games, going to lunch with a friend. It could be yourself. You could go to lunch by yourself, and that's perfectly fine. But the time you plan to waste is not wasted time. But when you said that you want to spend the afternoon sewing and then you don't because you're distracted, that's where there's an issue. Looking back through the day, you will feel regret that you didn't make better use of your afternoon. And you do that over the course of a week, a month, a year, well, that leads to a lifetime of wasted time and regret. So this indestructible superpower is something essential to your happiness, and everyone can gain it. How? You realize that traction is the opposite of distraction, and both are actionable. So distraction isn't something that just happens to you, okay? It's not like you were sitting down to sew and, oh my God, you got hit by distraction and now you're just can't sew anymore. It's an action that you take. I'm sorry to be so harsh. I'm not being harsh. I'm just relaying the information, okay, from the expert. But just like you can take the action, here's the good news, of being distracted, you can take the action of being tracted towards the things you said you were going to do. Traction is the action that pulls you towards your values. So here's what it looks like. You plan out a sewing project. You decide on the bits, like the bite-sized pieces. So say you're going to, put the lace together on a collar before heading off to work this morning. Great. You've planned this out ahead of time. Therefore, it's something that you've set up with intent. That's traction. And now in those early hours before work arrive, get out of bed, put yourself together, and take physical actions into your sewing space. And if you wake up, but those creative juices aren't flowing, you just don't feel like it, then switch your brain off. Kind of going into autopilot as you walk into your sewing space, turn your iron on, switch that machine on, and now those physical actions take over, and that whole, I don't feel like feeling, it just isn't. Don't get tricked. You're now in your sewing space, but don't think that anything accomplished here automatically files away in the traction realm. You are going to focus on that one item. In our example, doing the lace piecing for the collar. So this does not include organizing your button collection, starting a new project, scrolling through social media like Instagram while sitting in your sewing chair. Just because it happens in your sewing room does not mean that you're getting it done. If it's not what you intended to do in advance, then by definition, it's distraction. It's a distraction. Would be proper English. It is distracting you from what you intended to do. So it becomes a fairly simple question. Does this help my sewing project progress forwards? And if the answer is no, then get back on track. Triggers. External triggers. Things like cell phones, social media, those account for 10% of all triggers. That's it, 10%. While the other 90% are due to internal triggers, our states that we seek to escape. Maybe this is boredom, uncertainty, fear, confusion, all those emotions that are just less than pleasant to feel. So this boils down to being able to manage your emotions. In fact, time management is pain management. All human behavior is a desire to escape pain. And I have a hack for this. So what? So what if you're bored? So what if you're confused? Keep going. Keep showing up with a good attitude and give these types of emotions less importance because it's just not good or bad. It just is. You are just bored. It just is. And that just gives relativity for the rest of your emotions. AKA, excitement without boredom is just normal. They will pass. Yeah, boredom will pass, excitement will pass, but the aim is to keep things as close to neutral as possible. This whole one stitch at a time, turtle wins the race mentality. After all, what comes up must come down. Attending to them isn't helpful. Okay, so we're just going to stop your sewing progress just because you're bored? Why? You have the time. Maybe put on some music, maybe turn on a podcast, but walking away because you're bored not only stops the progress on that project, but now what? Are you going to work on something productive or seek some quick fix behavior that you'll regret later? The empty tub of peanut butter. And now that will bring a regret on board, which will tune up another quick fix behavior so you don't feel the last one. And then you're down this spiral downwards that I'm trying to get out of my mouth. Meanwhile, if you had just stuck with the bored feeling, you wouldn't have been dealing with all these other feelings of regret from the empty tub of peanut butter and regret, and you would still be making progress on your project. And that bored feeling would have gone by. And in 10 minutes or so, you probably would have forgotten all about being bored. Emotions come in waves. But then, how do we manage these feelings? Nir says to have a piece of paper and pen handy. So when you start feeling yourself starting to get distracted, know what you were feeling just before. Let's say you were in the middle of learning a new skill. You're at that lovely stage where you're trying to figure it all out, and it may be starting to turn into a hot mess in a hurry. And now you're confused, frustrated, uncertain about how things will go forward. So stop. Write down what's going on. Now you can reframe the triggers. If you are frustrated about the fact learning the skill isn't going well, why? Is it because you really want to apply it to your next garment and maybe that garment has an approaching deadline? And in which case, you could take a quick walk to reset your mind. I mean a physical walk, get out of your house, go around the block, and come back. That's a great way to have a refresh, a reset. Or maybe you could accept a different embellishment for this baby gown with the approaching deadline, which takes the pressure off, but then keep that skill on the calendar to learn later on. Learn to interpret those feelings as something that is happening for us, not to us. Going back to our example about learning a new skill on this baby gown with a deadline, you can reframe the frustration as a positive thing. It's your brain's way of saying, this is too much to learn under this time frame, and to walk away with a result that you're happy with. So it's just too much on one plate at one time. You've got a deadline, you're trying something new, it's not going to go well. It's a protective feeling, something that your body is doing for you, not to you. your body is not sabotaging your efforts. Which now means you can move along, continue with your project, being your badass, new, indestructible self. Check out this video on sewing lessons that Dior taught me. I hope this was helpful. If y'all have any questions, please put them down in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer them. As always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and I hope to catch y'all next time.